America is a world-class exporter. We export Hollywood blockbusters, revolutionary tech, and a very specific, very special brand of tourist. The kind who sees a 2,000-year-old statue and thinks climbing frame, or views a sacred ritual as a great time to check their fantasy football scores. This isn't a travel guide. This is a disaster reel. We've compiled 101 of the most mind-blowing, hilarious, and downright dumbest things Americans have ever done on vacation. Let's get started. 1. In Germany, there's a legendary highway called the Autobahn, where speed is not just a suggestion, it's a way of life. So what did one American family do? They pulled their rental car over onto the shoulder of the unlimited speed section, got out, and started taking family photos. A move so baffling to the local police that the officer's first question was reportedly if they had a death wish. 2. Ever look at the Great Pyramids of Giza, one of the last remaining wonders of the ancient world, and think, I bet the view from the top is great? An American tourist did just that, ignoring every sign, warning, and law to illegally scale the 4,500-year-old structure. He was, of course, arrested upon his descent, learning that Egyptian authorities don't appreciate people treating their World Heritage sites like a climbing wall at the local gym. 3. Let's talk about the eternal battle of man versus volcano for a smartphone. While visiting Mount Vesuvius in Italy, a young American tourist ignored the forbidden path signs to get a better selfie angle at the crater's edge. Predictably, he dropped his phone into the volcano. His brilliant solution wasn't to mourn the loss, but to climb in after it, promptly getting stuck and needing a mountain rescue team to save him from his own terrible decision. 4. Australia. Home to creatures that evolution designed to be left alone. An American tourist, however, saw a wild kangaroo and clearly thought it was a character from a children's cartoon. He approached it for a selfie, getting way too close. The kangaroo responded not by posing, but by delivering a swift, powerful kick, reminding him that a 6-foot marsupial is not, in fact, your buddy. 5. A visit to a Japanese shrine is a spiritual experience, full of ancient traditions and quiet respect. Or, if you're one American tourist, it's basically a public pool. He was caught dipping his feet into a sacred chozuya, a basin where worshippers purify their hands and mouths before prayer. Locals watched in horror as he treated a holy font like a foot spa at a Las Vegas resort. 6. You have to wonder what goes through some people's heads. In Yellowstone National Park, one visitor treated a multi-ton bison like it was a Midwestern dairy cow. He walked right up to the massive wild animal and gave it a friendly pat on the head. The bison, which has zero interest in being man's best friend, immediately charged and gored the man, teaching a very painful lesson in personal space. 7. In Norway, an American tourist saw smoke billowing from a historic wooden stave church. Fearing a catastrophic fire, he heroically grabbed a fire extinguisher and rushed to the scene to save the day. The only problem? He had just drenched a group of historical reenactors who were having a controlled, perfectly safe barbecue as part of a local festival. 8. Here's a travel tip. If you're going to break into a historic site after hours, maybe don't document it. 2 American influencers on a trip to Thailand decided to stay overnight in an ancient, abandoned temple. Not only did they illegally trespass, but they posted videos of themselves dancing and making ghost noises, which led the Thai police directly to their hotel for an arrest. 9. The Leaning Tower of Pisa has one job: to lean. It is famously, structurally, not sound. Yet an American tourist, frustrated that he couldn't get the perfect holding up the tower photo, reportedly began shaking one of the support columns in annoyance. His one-man demolition attempt was quickly shut down by a security, who had to explain that propping up a 14,000-ton building isn't a joke. 10. For some, a vacation mistake is forgetting sunscreen. For one American, it was forgetting he had live ammunition in his luggage on a trip to Turks and Caicos. After customs officials found a few stray bullets from a previous hunting trip, he wasn't just inconvenienced. He was arrested and faced a mandatory 12-year prison sentence, proving that not checking your bags can have slightly bigger consequences than paying for extra weight. 11. Ireland's Blarney Stone is said to grant the gift of eloquence to those who kiss it. An American tourist, apparently too important for the queue, decided to bypass the line and reach the stone from a different angle. He lost his footing and ended up dangling over a sheer drop, needing to be rescued by staff. The only gift he received that day was the gift of not plummeting to his doom. 12. Machu Picchu, the majestic lost city of the Incas, is a place for quiet reflection. Or if you're a group of American tourists, the perfect set for a viral dance video. They were caught by guards, mid-choreography, and promptly ejected for disrespecting cultural heritage. The only thing that went viral was the story of them getting kicked out of a UNESCO World Heritage Site. 13. When you rent a car in Amsterdam, the #1 rule is don't drive into a canal. A tourist, apparently trusting his GPS more than his own eyes, managed to do exactly that. He successfully escaped the sinking vehicle, but his rental car became a temporary submarine, creating a traffic jam of boats and deeply unimpressed locals who have seen this exact thing happen before. 14. A pro tip for visiting Costa Rica. The cute monkeys in the national park are professional thieves. One American tourist learned this by trying to lure a capuchin monkey closer with a shiny object, his car keys. The monkey, a master of its craft, snatched them and immediately scampered up a 50-foot tree, leaving the man to negotiate with a tiny primate who now held all the power. 15. In Lisbon, a 24-year-old American decided he absolutely had to get a selfie while climbing on a 126-year-old statue of a Portuguese king. As he was getting into position, he lost his balance and knocked the priceless statue over, shattering it. His quest for the perfect profile picture ended with him getting a much less flattering mugshot instead. 16. Canada technically limits paying with too many coins. An American tried to dump a fistful of nickels for a coffee, got refused, and launched into a TED Talk on legal tender. Barista cited the Currency Act. He cited Facebook law. Verdict: latte denied, ego decaf. 17. An American couple at a Michelin-starred restaurant in Paris committed what is essentially a culinary war crime. After being served an exquisitely prepared steak, the man casually pulled out a mini bottle of Heinz ketchup from his wife's purse and smothered the chef's masterpiece. The chef reportedly had to be talked down from coming out and personally revoking their visas. 18. Japan's Shinkansen bullet train is a global symbol of punctuality. So when an American tourist decided to hold the automatic doors open for his slow-moving friend, he didn't just cause a small delay. He triggered a chain reaction down the entire line, a cardinal sin in a country where a train being 30 seconds late makes the national news. 19. The Grand Canyon is a place of majestic beauty, not a stage for your social media stunts. One couple decided to fake a marriage proposal right on a dangerous cliff edge, with the guy pretending to stumble and fall over. He didn't actually fall, but he did attract the attention of park rangers, who were not amused by a prank that could have easily required a real body recovery. 20. The running of the bulls in Spain is already a questionable life choice, but an American tourist made it dumber. Instead of focusing on, not getting trampled by a 1-ton beast, he was trying to film himself running with a selfie stick. He got his action shot and reportedly, a horn to the backside for his efforts. 21. In London, pants means underwear. An American marched into a shop and boomed, "Where are the men's pants?" The clerk blinked. The room froze. A colleague translated, "He means trousers. Congrats." He just asked a stranger where they keep the briefs. 22. What's more disrespectful than breaking a statue at the Vatican? How about trying to land a drone on the roof of St. Peter's Basilica? An American tourist flew his drone right over the holy city, lost control, and crashed it. He didn't get his drone back, but he did get an exclusive, unscheduled meeting with the Italian police force. 23. At Papakolea Beach in Hawaii, one of the few green sand beaches in the world, the rule is simple: take pictures, not sand. The rare olivine crystals are protected. One tourist, however, decided the rules didn't apply to her and tried to smuggle out a water bottle full of the sand. She was caught and faced a massive fine, learning that free souvenirs can sometimes cost you thousands of dollars. 24. When you see a Highland cow in Scotland with its shaggy hair and majestic horns, the correct response is, wow. The incorrect response, as one American demonstrated, is to try and ride it. He attempted to mount the surprisingly strong and very uncooperative beast, which promptly threw him into a patch of thistles, much to the amusement of the cow's Scottish owner. 25. Driving in the UK is a challenge for many Americans, but one tourist in a rental car faced the ultimate final boss, a multi-lane roundabout. Completely paralyzed by the flow of traffic, he simply stopped his car. Dead center. He then tried to reverse out of it, causing a symphony of car horns and angry British gestures that you definitely won't find in any travel guide. 26. What is the #1 non-negotiable rule on an African safari? It's do not, under any circumstances, get out of the vehicle. One American tourist, however, decided his Instagram followers deserved a better angle of a lion lounging nearby. He opened the door and stepped out of the Land Rover, causing his guide to have what could only be described as a full-blown existential crisis right there on the Serengeti. 27. The demilitarized zone between North and South Korea is arguably the most tense border on Earth. It is a place of silent, stone-faced guards and palpable hostility. An American tourist on a guided tour saw the stoic North Korean soldiers staring back at him and thought it would be hilarious to make a series of goofy faces at them. He was immediately grabbed by his South Korean military escorts and forcefully removed before he could start an international incident. 28. Some people see the Parthenon in Athens and are awestruck by 2,500 years of human history. Others, apparently, see a great place to get a free paperweight. A tourist was caught by guards trying to pry a small piece of marble from the ancient structure to take home as a souvenir. He quickly learned that the Greeks are, shall we say, extremely protective of their World Heritage sites. 29. In India, cows are sacred and are free to roam wherever they please. So when an American tourist's taxi was stuck in a traffic jam caused by a cow peacefully sitting in the middle of the road, he did what any impatient American would do. He got out and tried to shoo it. He honked, he clapped, he yelled at it like it was a stubborn deer on his lawn, completely failing to grasp that the cow had more rights to that road than he did. 30. A romantic gondola ride through the canals of Venice is a delicate, perfectly balanced experience. A balance that was completely destroyed when an American tourist, against the specific instructions of his gondolier, stood up to switch places with his wife for a better selfie. The resulting capsize sent them both into the questionable canal water, turning their romantic moment into a damp, smelly embarrassment. 31. Hawaii volcanoes. National Park. A tourist poked molten lava with a stick to see how hot it really is. The stick vaporized, the crowd gasped, and he narrated, "Whoa, super hot." Science confirmed. Common sense did not. Congratulations, you peer-reviewed fire. 32. The Christ the Redeemer statue in Rio de Janeiro stands with its arms outstretched, a symbol of peace. An American tourist saw this and thought it would make an amazing drone shot if he could fly his drone up to high-five the statue's hand. He didn't get the shot. Instead, he got the attention of Brazilian authorities, who confiscated his expensive toy and hit him with a massive fine for endangering a global icon. 33. A quaint English village street built centuries before cars were invented is not the place for a large American rental SUV. One tourist, used to the wide-open highways of Texas, confidently steered his massive vehicle down a lane clearly marked unsuitable for wide vehicles. He became perfectly, immovably wedged between two historic cottages, creating a multi-hour traffic jam and becoming the main source of entertainment for the locals. 34. In the Swiss Alps, signs warning of avalanche danger are not friendly suggestions. They are serious business. An expert-level American skier, convinced of his own immortality, ducked under the ropes to ski on a closed-off, pristine powder field. He didn't cause an avalanche, but he did get hopelessly lost, requiring a several $1,000 helicopter rescue to save him from his own arrogance. 35. Haggling in a Moroccan souk is a dance, not a hostile takeover. Offered a fair price for a handmade rug, an American countered with 10% and a lecture on market efficiency. The shopkeeper smiled, the crowd laughed, and the rug stayed exactly where it was. 36. There are two kinds of people in Florida: Those who know alligators are dangerous prehistoric predators and tourists. One American on vacation saw an alligator sunbathing on a golf course and decided it looked hungry. He proceeded to toss it pieces of his hot dog. This act of kindness successfully taught the alligator that humans are a source of food, a lesson that forced wildlife officials to later remove the now dangerous animal. 37. There is an unwritten but sacred rule on the London Underground during the morning commute. Thou shalt not speak. An American tourist, however, provided a loud, non-stop monologue of his vacation plans into his phone on a packed, silent train. He wasn't told off. He was simply subjected to the collective, soul-crushing power of 100 silent, passive-aggressive British glares. 38. The Great Wall of China is a marvel of engineering, not a running track. An overconfident American tourist, bragging about his marathon times, declared he would run a massive section of the wall. He ignored warnings about the incredibly steep, uneven stairs and set off at a sprint. He was found less than a mile later, completely exhausted and needing help to walk back down, defeated by a wall that has defeated armies. 39. Many of Thailand's most beautiful beaches are now protected zones with strict no-smoking policies to preserve their beauty, with signs posted everywhere. An American tourist, believing the rules were for other people, lit up a cigarette and enjoyed his view. His moment of relaxation was interrupted by police, who informed him his casual smoke break carried a potential penalty of up to a year in prison. 40. Before the Mona Lisa, a tourist complained the museum lights made her look grainy on his phone. He fussed with settings, scoffed at the resolution, and never noticed the painting. Imagine meeting Da Vinci and reviewing your screen. 41. New Zealand is famously protective of its national symbol, the kiwi bird. They are shy nocturnal creatures. One American tourist, disappointed he couldn't see one during the day, went off trail into a protected sanctuary and was caught trying to rustle bushes to wake one up for a photo. He was treating a fragile, endangered species like a sleeping cat he wanted to play with. 42. Here's a quick way to become public enemy number 1 in Italy. An American family at a traditional restaurant in Bologna, the heart of Italian cuisine, did the unthinkable. They asked the waiter for a side of ranch dressing for their pasta. The request was met with a silence so profound and disappointed, you could hear Enzo Ferrari rolling over in his grave. 43. The quaint, medieval villages of France were built for horses and carts, not for a 30-foot-long American recreational vehicle. One tourist, confidently following his RV's GPS, ignored dozens of warning signs and wedged his massive land yacht into an ancient cobblestone alleyway. He didn't just block traffic, he became a temporary and very stupid architectural feature of the town. 44. This one is less funny and more jaw-droppingly dumb. At the Auschwitz-Birkenau Memorial, a place of profound sorrow and reflection, a tourist was spotted balancing on the infamous railway tracks. Not in quiet contemplation, but posing with a big smile and a thumbs up for a selfie, treating a site of immense tragedy like an Instagram backdrop at Disneyland. 45. In Vietnam, the street food is legendary, and transactions are done in the local currency, the dong. An American tourist, after finishing a $1 bowl of PHO, confidently tried to pay the street vendor with a crisp $100 US bill, then seemed genuinely confused when the vendor, who likely doesn't see that much cash in a week, couldn't make change. 46. The black sand beaches of Iceland are famous for two things: their stunning beauty and their deadly sneaker waves that can appear without warning. Despite signs everywhere, an American tourist turned his back to the raging North Atlantic to get the perfect dramatic selfie. A wave promptly knocked him off his feet, dragging him in and soaking him, his phone, and his dignity. 47. The Scottish Highlands have famously unpredictable weather that can change from sunny to freezing in minutes. One American hiker, apparently believing he was immune to the concept of temperature, attempted a serious mountain trail wearing nothing but flip-flops, shorts, and a thin t-shirt. His adventure ended, predictably, with him being rescued by a team that had to wrap his hypothermic body in blankets. 48. Pro tip: before visiting a conservative country like the United Arab Emirates, maybe take 5 minutes to read about local customs. An American couple was detained by security at a mall in Dubai for engaging in a loud, passionate makeout session. They learned the hard way that behavior acceptable during spring break in Florida can get you arrested in other parts of the world. 49. Singapore is known for being clean, orderly, and having a law for just about everything. An American tourist seeing some pigeons decided to share his lunch with them, tossing breadcrumbs on the pristine sidewalk. He was quickly approached by an official and handed a several $100 fine for feeding vermin, a crime he didn't even know he was committing. 50. There's a reason museums have a strict no-flash photography rule. The intense light damages priceless works of art over time. At the Uffizi Gallery in Florence, a tourist decided that rule was just a suggestion. He used a powerful flash to get a better shot of Botticelli's The Birth of Venus, setting off alarms and getting himself swarmed by museum security. 51. A busy train station in Mumbai, India, is a place of organized chaos. It is not, however, a place where you can flag down a train like it's a taxi. One American visitor was seen standing on the platform, frantically waving and whistling at a departing local train, seemingly under the impression the driver might see him, hit the brakes, and reverse to pick him up. 52. Here is a simple, universal truth. Do not get in a llama's personal space. While trekking in Peru, a tourist ignored her guide's warning and leaned in extremely close to a llama's face for a cute selfie. The llama, exercising its right to be left alone, responded by spitting a giant glob of green, digested grass directly into her open mouth. 53. Sometimes a dumb move is born from good intentions. An American tourist in Amsterdam saw a bicycle parked against a railing without a lock. Thinking he was preventing a theft, he took his own personal bike lock and helpfully secured the stranger's bike to the railing. He then left, leaving the bike's actual owner to return later and wonder who had taken their bicycle hostage. 54. Trevi Fountain. Etiquette. Toss a coin, not your trash. A tourist lined up a hook shot with his empty gelato cup, bricked it off the marble, and triggered a chorus of boos. Congratulations. He tried to turn a Baroque masterpiece into a dumpster three-pointer. 55. Egypt travel tip. Don't drink the tap water. One tourist bragged about his stomach of steel, took a heroic chug, and spent 4 days touring porcelain. His Sphinx riddle. How many times can one man repent in 24 hours? 56. China's terracotta army. 2,000 years old, zero interest in your drip. An American hopped a barrier to crown a warrior with his baseball cap. Security intercepted. History breathed out. He tried to accessorize a world wonder like a department store mannequin. 57. Canada's moose aren't Disney's sidekicks. Spotting one roadside, a tourist offered a potato chip from his window. The moose stared. Locals stared harder. Lucky outcome. Confusion instead of a hood-shaping headbutt. Also, chips are not the national currency. 58. An Irish pub is a sacred place. It's for dark stout, fine whiskey, and conversation. So when an American walked into a traditional quiet pub in Dublin and loudly asked the bartender to put the game on, he was met with confused silence. When he then followed up by trying to order a Coors Light, he may as well have asked for the soul of Ireland to be served to him on a plastic plate. 59. The terraced rice paddies of Bali are a stunning feat of ancient agriculture and someone's literal livelihood. To one American influencer, however, it was just a free, green-themed photo studio. She was caught wading deep into the delicate seedlings, trampling the crops, all to get the perfect candid shot of herself looking thoughtfully into the distance. 60. Prague's astronomical clock clicks through a subtle medieval spectacle. After 20 minutes, a tourist barked, "That's it, Chuck E. Cheese does better." Imagine flying across Europe to roast 15th century engineering for not being animatronics. 61. The wildlife in the Galapagos Islands is unique because it has absolutely no fear of humans. The #1 rule is do not touch anything. One tourist saw a sea lion pup sleeping on the beach and decided it looked sunburnt. So she began trying to drag it into the shade, saving a perfectly fine animal and nearly giving a conservationist guide a heart attack. 62. Soul barbecue is DIY perfection. An American refused the grill, demanded the chef take his meat well done, then asked for ketchup. The table paused. The server blinked. Insulting a national cuisine in 3 moves. Speedrun complete. 63. The Dead Sea is not a sea. It's an ultra-concentrated salt lake. Every sign, every guide, every person who has ever been there warns you. Do not get the water in your eyes or mouth. An American tourist, scoffing at the warnings, decided to go for a full face-first dive like he was at his community pool. The shriek of pure, saline-induced agony that followed was reportedly heard from Jordan. 64. The endless, beautiful tulip fields in the Netherlands are a major tourist attraction, but they are also a farmer's commercial crop. One tourist decided the perfect photo required her to be fully immersed in the flowers. She ignored the designated paths and waded out into the middle of the field, lying down and crushing dozens of tulips to create her own personal flower bed. 65. At Victoria Falls, you can swim in a natural rock pool right on the edge of the 350-foot drop, called the Devil's Pool. Local guides hold your legs and give you one simple rule: stay low, do not stand. An American, wanting a more heroic-looking photo, decided to ignore that advice and tried to stand up. He was immediately yanked back down by his guide, narrowly avoiding becoming a permanent part of the waterfall. 66. In Fiji, a kava ceremony is a respected tradition, where you calmly drink a muddy, tongue-numbing beverage as a sign of welcome. One American tourist treated it like a college party. After his first ceremonial cup, he slammed it down on the mat, yelled, "Woo! Hit me again, bartender!" and held his cup out for another shot, completely missing the point of the sacred ritual. Nim 67. There's an unspoken rhythm to a German supermarket checkout. It is a high-speed, hyper-efficient process. One American tourist, used to a more leisurely pace, was apparently baffled by this. He stood there as his items piled up, fumbling with his wallet, while the cashier was already scanning the next person's groceries, causing a silent, high-pressure traffic jam of pure German frustration behind him. 68. Mexico's cenotes are stunning underground swimming holes, but they can have hidden rocks just below the surface. That's why there are signs everywhere that say, "No jumping from the cliffs." An American tourist filled with vacation bravado ignored the signs, took a running leap off a high ledge, and landed directly on a submerged rock, shattering his ankle and turning a beautiful swim into a painful emergency extraction. 69. The famous ruin bars of Budapest are decorated with eclectic, mismatched furniture and art in dilapidated buildings. It's a carefully curated chaos. One American tourist completely misunderstood the ruin concept. Thinking it was okay to contribute to the decay, he was caught trying to break the leg off a chair to add to the aesthetic. 70. Antarctica is sacred, fragile ice. A tourist unpacked a disposable grill for hot dogs on the floe. Scientists stared colder than the wind. A crew shut it down. The only thing that got charred was his reputation. 71. The Swiss guards at the Vatican are not just decorative. They are highly trained active soldiers of the world's smallest state. This crucial detail was lost on one American tourist who, after posing for a photo near a guard, reached out and poked him hard in the side. He was apparently trying to see if the guard was real. The guard's immediate, iron-willed reaction confirmed that yes, he was very real. And no, he does not enjoy being poked like the Pillsbury Doughboy. 72. Carnival in Rio de Janeiro is a breathtaking spectacle of multi-million-dollar floats and performers in elaborate, heavy costumes. One American tourist, filled with the spirit of the party, decided he deserved to be part of the show. He broke through a security line and attempted to climb onto a massive, moving parade float. He was promptly and unceremoniously thrown off by performers who were not about to let a guy in cargo shorts ruin their one night of glory. 73. The geysers in Iceland are powerful geothermal wonders. They are also extremely delicate ecosystems. A tourist, wanting to get a cool video from inside, attached his GoPro camera to a long stick and lowered it directly into the geyser's opening just before it erupted. The eruption promptly blasted his camera into a million pieces and launched it 100 feet into the air. He was then seen asking a park ranger if there was a lost and found for vaporized electronics. 74. In Tokyo, sushi chefs spend years mastering their craft. One American tourist, however, wasn't impressed. After being served a delicate piece of nigiri, he pulled out a bottle of soy sauce from his backpack, drowned the sushi in it, and then asked the chef if they had extra wasabi packets like at 7-Eleven. The chef's face could have curdled soy milk on the spot. 75. When you're riding a camel in front of the pyramids in Egypt, you are on camel time. They move at their own deliberate pace. One American tourist, however, grew impatient with his camel's leisurely stroll. He was heard loudly complaining that it lacked horsepower, and then started kicking its sides and yelling, "Giddy up!" like he was in a John Wayne movie, much to the horror of his Egyptian guide. 76. On a Sound of Music tour in Salzburg, Austria, it's common to see fans recreating scenes. But one tourist took it too far. She ran onto what she thought was a random green hill, arms outstretched, belting out "The Hills Are Alive" at the top of her lungs. Her performance was cut short by a very angry Austrian farmer who came running out of his house to inform her that she was, in fact, alive on his private property. 77. Here's a helpful hint. Don't try to help. At the ancient city of Petra in Jordan, a tourist was looking at the intricately carved sandstone walls of the treasury. Deciding it looked a bit dusty, she pulled out a wet wipe from her purse and began trying to clean a section of the 2,000-year-old facade, a move that could permanently damage the delicate surface and earned her a frantic lecture from a nearby guide. 78. The La Tomatina festival in Spain has one very important rule. You must squash the tomatoes in your hand before throwing them. It's a soft, messy fight, not a violent assault. One American, apparently missing this crucial memo, was seen grabbing firm, unsquashed tomatoes and winging them at people's heads like he was a Major League Baseball pitcher, turning a fun food fight into a potentially painful experience. 79. The Grand Canyon is a testament to millions of years of natural erosion. Its colors shift with the light of the sun. This was not impressive enough for one tourist. He was overheard at a viewing point, asking a park ranger with complete sincerity what time they turn on the colored lights that make the rocks look so pretty, as if the entire canyon was part of a Las Vegas light show. 80. The classic 1950s cars in Cuba are beautifully maintained relics of a bygone era, kept running through sheer ingenuity. One tourist, while riding in a pristine '57 Chevy, had the audacity to complain to the driver that the classic car didn't have any USB charging ports or a reliable Wi-Fi hotspot. He was completely missing the entire point of the experience. 81. The Maasai warriors of Kenya are famous for their adamu, a jumping dance where they compete to see who can leap the highest. After watching a performance, one American tourist, in a moment of supreme confidence, decided he could show them a thing or two. He proceeded to demonstrate what looked like a clumsy, uncoordinated attempt at a slam dunk, right in front of the actual warriors. 82. Buddhist monasteries in Thailand are sanctuaries of peace and silent meditation. The monks dedicate their lives to quiet contemplation. This was interrupted when a tourist's phone went off with a loud, obnoxious hip-hop ringtone. Instead of silencing it in shame, he answered the call and proceeded to have a loud conversation about his fantasy football league in the middle of the silent prayer hall. 83. The Sahara Desert is vast, harsh, and famously scorching. Yet one American tourist thought it was the perfect place for a casual jog. Wearing nothing but running shorts and a baseball cap, he took off into the dunes without water. 10 minutes later, he stumbled back, sunburnt, dehydrated, and ranting that there aren't even any vending machines out here. 84. At Stonehenge, visitors can admire the ancient monument from behind protective barriers. One tourist, however, felt this wasn't enough. He jumped the rope and attempted to climb one of the 25-ton stones for a better view. Security tackled him before he got far, and he learned that in Britain, the only thing heavier than the rocks is the fine for touching them. 85. Mannequin piss. In Brussels is a world-famous 400-year-old bronze statue of a small boy urinating into a fountain. It's a quirky city symbol. One American tourist, however, completely missed the art part of the equation. She was seen frantically flagging down a police officer, insisting that he needed to do something about the unattended child urinating in public. 86. The Korean Jjimjilbang, or public bathhouse, is a sanctuary for quiet relaxation. There are hot pools, cold pools, and silent saunas. One American tourist, however, treated the tranquil sauna room like it was his personal gym locker room, loudly discussing sports scores and complaining about his fantasy football team to his friend, completely shattering the meditative silence for everyone else. 87. Pablo Escobar's private zoo in Colombia left a strange legacy: a wild population of hippos. They are not cute, gentle giants. They are one of the most dangerous animals in Africa, now living in South America. This fact was lost on a tourist who left his tour group and tried to get a selfie while petting one. He's lucky he only got chased away and not turned into a human chew toy by a living piece of cartel history. 88. Lisbon's vintage trams aren't subway doors. An American jammed one open for lagging relatives and froze a whole line of cars on a single-track street. He reunited the family and gridlocked a neighborhood. 89. Wieliczka salt mine. Chapels carved from salt, holy and ancient. A tourist licked a wall to see if it's real. The guide confirmed it was, so was the lecture. Seasoning world heritage with your tongue is not a research method. 90. The Ganges River in India is one of the most sacred waterways in Hinduism, a place for spiritual cleansing and rituals. An American tourist saw this ancient tradition and had a thought: what a great place to test out my new water-purifying straw. He was spotted on the riverbank, amid worshippers, casually sipping river water through his high-tech gadget, like he was field-testing gear for a camping trip. 91. Argentina's finest Malbec arrived. The tourist requested a tall glass of ice. Somewhere, a vineyard wept. The waiter complied. The table cringed. A crime against grapes served chilled. 92. In Japan, it is a deeply ingrained social rule that you do not take phone calls on a crowded train. It's considered incredibly rude. One American tourist not only took a call on a packed Tokyo subway during rush hour, but he put the entire conversation on speakerphone for everyone to hear. He created a bubble of pure, concentrated cringe in a carriage of otherwise perfectly silent commuters. 93. The beaches in northern Australia have signs everywhere. Big, red, unambiguous signs with pictures of a box jellyfish and the words, "Deadly stingers, do not swim." An American tourist looked at these signs and clearly thought they were just over-the-top legal suggestions. He waded into the water and was only saved from a potentially lethal sting by a lifeguard screaming at him to get out. 94. The city of Copenhagen runs on bicycles. Outside every train station, you'll find what looks like a chaotic sea of thousands of parked bikes. An American tourist, seeing this, decided to perform a public service. He spent half an hour helpfully organizing the bikes into neat, perfect rows. In doing so, he completely messed up the complex, unspoken system locals use, creating genuine chaos while thinking he was a hero. 95. The East Side Gallery in Berlin is the longest remaining section of the Berlin Wall, now covered in famous murals about peace and freedom. One tourist was spotted by a guide trying to scratch off a piece of the iconic artwork. When confronted, he explained he was just trying to see the original wall underneath, completely failing to understand that the art is the monument now. 96. Haggling at a local artisan market in the Caribbean is expected. But one American tourist brought a new, soul-crushing technique to the table. After examining a hand-carved wooden mask, he pulled out his phone, found a similar-looking, mass-produced version on Amazon for $10, showed it to the artist and asked, "Can you match this price?" 97. Venice, as you may have heard, has canals instead of streets. A tourist, standing on one of the city's small, historic bridges, was seen putting two fingers in his mouth and letting out a piercingly loud whistle, then waving his arm frantically at a passing water taxi. He was trying to hail a boat like it was a yellow cab on Fifth Avenue in New York City. It did not work. 98. The changing of the guard at Buckingham Palace is a display of military precision. The guards are on serious duty and are famous for their discipline and for ignoring the public. One American tourist, on a hot day, apparently felt bad for one of the stoic guards in his bearskin hat. So he broke protocol, walked up, and tried to offer the on-duty soldier a can of warm Coca-Cola. 99. The Philippines is a country where cash is king, especially for local transport. After taking a ride in a jeepney, a flamboyantly decorated local bus where the fare is about 20 cents, a tourist tried to pay the driver by handing him a platinum American Express card. The driver's confused silence was met with an even more confused question from the tourist. What, you don't take cards? 100. We'll end this set in one of the most remote places on Earth, the middle of the Sahara Desert. An American tourist on a multi-day camel trek miles from any civilization was heard complaining about the lack of phone signal. He then, with no hint of irony, turned to his Berber guide and asked, "Excuse me, is there a password for the Wi-Fi out here?" 101. And for our grand finale, we go to Florence, Italy. An American student studying abroad was cooking pasta for the very first time. Not knowing what to do with the boiling water when she was done, she did what seemed logical to her. She poured it out of her apartment window. Her logical solution, however, landed directly on the head of an elderly Italian woman who was walking on the street below. This single act of culinary cluelessness resulted in minor burns, a police investigation, and surely the deep collective shame of an entire nation. And that's it. 101 vacation fails that prove even the most beautiful places can become comedy stages when common sense takes a holiday. Now it's your turn. What's the dumbest thing you've ever seen a tourist do? Or maybe even done yourself? Share it in the comments, and let's see whose story can top these. Don't forget to hit like if this made you laugh, and subscribe. Because trust me, the world is full of even stranger stories, and you won't want to miss them.